Happy Wednesday, Doug and Cindy here. Help me help Mama live cast. Thanks for joining in today. Today, we're going to be talking about planning after a diagnosis. And of course, I guess we're talking about diagnosis of Alzheimer's usually.
Usually.
Sometimes it could be diagnosis of Parkinson's or diagnosis of some unrelated type of dementia. But for sake of our conversation today, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's, and it may be a situation where, you know, well spouse is helping sick spouse, and well spouse not so well themselves, and they're at home alone, or it could be dad's already deceased and mom's there by herself. Kids may be living locally or maybe out of state, all sort of situations. But one of the seniors has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and they want to stay at home at least for a while. So that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And where do you turn? Who do you ask the questions? What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to get in order? And you can find all of this stuff on the internet. It's out there all over the
Bits and
place.
pieces,
Bits
yeah.
and pieces. But what we want to do is try to bring it together. Can we show that?
You know, one thing, and we're members of the Life Care Planning Law Firms Association. This is one of their um, handouts, I guess. But you know, it's just a continuum. You focus on someone being home uh, just for themselves, and they're declining some, but they're able to still get around. And even with Alzheimer's in the early stages, you know, sometimes people can fend for themselves for quite a while, just with
Mhm.
minimal intervention. Kids checking on them periodically.
I think the key is knowing what to do and when to do it, and the proper assessments to do so that you can know if, let's say, your mom is a widow and she's at home by herself. She's recently been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. What does she need help with? What do you need to do to keep her safe? Can she still cook? Is it safe for her to cook? Are you afraid she's going to leave, a pan on the stove and it catch fire in the kitchen? Um, and if that's the case, what do you do? There's technology out there that can shut the stove off. You know, um, do you need to stop in and see her? Do you need to bring in home non medical care? This is what we're talking about. Been diagnosed, what do you look at?
And technology can fill a lot of gaps,
Yes.
at least at the early stages, that used to just wasn't impossible. I mean, there's GPS trackers that can go
Mm-hmm.
in someone's shoes that,
Shoes.
if they try to wander off,
Yeah.
can track their where they're at. And of course, that helps to a certain extent. Like where we are now, we're a couple hundred feet from a major highway, and GPS tracker might show, yeah, Dad's walking toward that busy highway, and by the time you got there, he'd already be out in the middle of the busy highway, so or worse. So it's good to a point, but all of these things help. Cameras, fall detectors, GPS trackers, vital signs detectors. Um, and there's things like virtual medicine where you can even do your appointments at home. I was just thinking, as your mom was declining and she didn't have Alzheimer's, but virtual medicine, I guess,
Yeah.
was there at that time. But seems like since COVID, it's been like, you know, made much more real. More doctors are using it, seems like, and I just think what a big struggle it was to get your mom in her weakened condition up, ready for the doctor, get her to the doctor's office, back home. That was like a half day ordeal. It's rough on us, but it
It
was
was
10
really rough
times
on her.
really rough on her. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just took a lot out of her. And, you know, anymore with the virtual medicine, if she would have just had to go to her dining room table and back,
Yeah, exactly.
but it would have been a big
Exactly.
difference.
Exactly. So one of the things that we did for mom was we put together a notebook, and in one of the sections we had the documents that gave me authority to make healthcare decisions for mom at the doctor's office if she couldn't do it, or at the hospital. So, want to share that with you, that information, so that you can put this together. Um, you need a healthcare power of attorney. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if you, I mean, there's two closely related documents. A private living will, we sometimes call it a pull a plug document. If you're incurable or irreversible or permanently unconscious, the attending physician in Arkansas can make a decision to withhold or withdraw treatment that only prolongs the process of dying. But in our living will, we have said that in a lot of them that the doctor's got to consult with who you've named as a healthcare agent, and a healthcare agent you named in the healthcare power of attorney, that's not got anything to do necessarily with pull plug decision. That's this: if you're sick, cognitively or physically, can't make your own healthcare decisions. I know my mom had a stroke, and for the last 2 years of her life, I made her healthcare decisions. And so, but if you've got a healthcare power of attorney, healthcare agent, uh, you need to have a copy of that along with your HIPAA authorization and the living will, have all of that in this medical visits notebook. We've even had clients recently, good stories and bad stories, where they, the good ones where they did have their medical visit notebook completed and with them, and bad stories where, oops, didn't have that done yet. And if it's not done, it doesn't help very much. So this needs to be have all of your things together, your documents, your cards, everything. So if a medical emergency happens, you can just grab it and go. Um, Trying to fumble through stuff and figure out where everything is at the time of an emergency is not the time to be doing that. Needs to be done well in advance while clear heads prevail and everything's okay and you have time to gather everything.
I'd also include a do not attempt resuscitation order, which is a medical order. If you don't want to be resuscitated, and in these times of COVID, do not intubate order may be something that you want to include. If
And you
you,
should have these conversations with your
mm-hmm.
physician. I mean, that's a personal decision, and it will, whether this is a good idea or not, will vary from case to case. We've seen situations where it's a real good ideal, situation where it's a real bad ideal. So a DNR and a DNI are decisions to make with your physician.
But you're the one in control of making that
Right.
decision, and if you want that, it's something to consider. If you have Alzheimer's or it's some other form of dementia, and you would want to donate your brain for research, you know that's something to consider. Also, I suggested sometimes when you go to a pharmacy to pick up medicine for your loved one, they will require written proof or a written authorization on their form that you can pick up someone else's medication. Okay, so that's medical. You need to look at financial. If you've been diagnosed, um, where do you want to live? Who do you want around you? Plan out what you want, and the financial is look at what that's going to cost. I mean, if you bring in, and you can bring in 24-hour a day care into your home if you don't have family members that can help you, but it's pretty expensive, right?
It does, and a lot of times people don't think about that, don't plan for that, and again, more last minute planning.
Yeah.
And this is something when you're looking at the financial piece. How are these things? What do these things cost? I guess back up a step. What are these things? What
Yeah.
options are available? What do each of them cost? How are they paid? Are there government options available or that's private pay options? How would they be paid? Is the money available? If not, are fixed assets available? What assets should be sold first or liquidated first? A lot of decisions to be made here. And again, not the type of decisions that need to be made at the last minute.
No.
So a lot of pre-planning needs to be done in advance. So if and when something happens, you know what to do.
And you will get the type of care that you want in the location where you want, for as long as you can afford it.
Yep.
And that's what you can get with a plan. It's very, very important to plan. Also, another reason to plan is because if you've got family members that are going to help, either adult children or grandchildren, siblings, anybody that's going to help within the family, you need to start coordinating schedules, looking at maybe different options of different places to live. Will one of your children come home and live with you? Will you move in with them? You move in with a sibling. Maybe, you've both lost your spouse and you just decide we're both rattling around in a big house, by ourselves. Why not move in together?
Yep.
Different options.
Legal documents.
Legal documents.
You know, again, needs to be done in advance, at least while someone's still got capacity. If it's till, wait till after they lose capacity, it's just too late. If mom or dad still have capacity and it's been a long time since they've been reviewed, it's good to think about that now and get with your attorney, do a review, make sure it's like they want. If the documents were done 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, the odds are pretty good that things have changed. Their situations changed, the laws changed. So those things need to be reviewed and possibly updated. Because this is important. You just get one bite at the apple sometimes, and if it's after someone is incapacitated or dies, well, then it's too late to make any revisions.
And you may get the court involved.
Yeah, that's
with the guardianship,
that
and you want to
step
avoid
that could be avoided sometimes.
if you can at all.
We talked to a lot of people. Another topic related is life care planning, and life care planning is different from legal planning. When people think of estate planning, that's the first thing come to mind. Well, we do a will that says, who gets their stuff when we die. Well, you're dead. So your stuff's going to pass to someone. But what happens, and this happens to not 100% of the people, but a lot of people, something happens before you die, and for at least a period of time, you may be incapacitated, cognitively or physically. And who do you want making decisions? Where do you want to be? If you want to be at home, is there a plan in place to keep you at home? And we're talking to more and more people that have realized this and are very concerned about this. They realize they don't have a plan in place, and they're just leaving it to whatever. Well, we hope we're okay, and we'll just be here as long as we can, and hope things work out, and
the kids will take care of us.
And the kids will take care of us. And the kids' plate's already full. They're busy.
Yeah.
They got their families. They got their jobs. They may live out of state, and they love you and they mean well, but they're just busy. So how do you want your life to be? And the kids don't know. They're guessing. They try to figure it out, the best they can, what you want, how to pay for it, how to be the best steward of mom and dad's assets and their resources. But that kind of puts them in an awkward position a lot of times. So it's really good if you, mom or dad, figure this out for yourself before something bad happens and have a plan in place, and at least increases the likelihood that it will go the way you want. You a lot of times don't have any control over what happens to your health, what type of medical care you would need, but you do have control over the plan, what would happen if something happened to you, and you needed care before you died.
So you can take it from today, literally, all the way to your death, and still stay at home.
Yep.
If you get a good plan in place. Toward the end is hospice, and probably either family or in-home non-medical caregivers. But you can do that. So if that's what you want, you need to plan.
So if you live in Arkansas, need assistance with this, contact us. You can support at helpmehelpmama.com and give us your contact information. If you live in another state, contact an attorney or financial or legal professional in your area for assistance. And I guess that's all we had today. Is there anything we're missing?
There's a lot more, but
A
this
lot
is all
more.
we can do for today.
Yeah. So hope you're having a great day and a great week. If you haven't done this type of planning, now's the time to start while you have the opportunity to do so. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
And thank you for being a caregiver for your loved one. You're making a huge difference in their life.